welcome your alumni back. It's our all-star worship group. Almost alum. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Have a seat, please. And hey, for the next little bit, check in your attention down here. Like we've been doing all semester long in chapel, we've been having alumni come back and share with you their stories, and we need your focus and attention right here. And here's why it's important. Don't worry about class. Don't worry about where you have to be. For the next little bit, you're here and your attention's here. If you need a note for class, just tell them President Kroom said so. For the next hour only, not tomorrow or the next day or next week, but just for the next hour. But please give your attention down here on stage because I want to introduce a very special alumni of Judson University. Chief Justice Susan Christensen is on the Iowa Supreme Court. She's also known as Susie the Cookie Judge, not because she has her own reality show, but this describes her heart. For as a juvenile court judge, she had a moment with a young man where she asked what she could do for him. Could she perhaps bake him cookies? As a judge, she shares this. Judge Christensen's heart is absolutely for family. In fact, family first was her initial initiative as Chief Justice. Plus, serving on the Supreme Court in Iowa is a family public service legacy. Her father, Justice Jerry Larson, was the longest-serving justice in Iowa Supreme Court history. Her family journey includes being a married Judson student with 2 young children, while her husband, Jay, who's with us today, was in optometry school in downtown Chicago. In fact, Jay's eye care practice is called Dr. Jay's Family Eye Care. And their son, Nick, also works with his dad. She is the mother of 5 children with 6.5 grandchildren because one is due when again, Jay? And what's that? Christmas time, Christmas present there. Tonight at the Alumni Awards Banquet, she will receive the Alumni of the Year Award. We are so very, very, very proud that she's part of the Judson family as well. Please welcome Judson alumni, Iowa Supreme Court Chief Justice Susan Christensen.
I'm going to see where's the best spot to sit here that I can actually pay attention to what I'm saying. Thank you very much for that warm reception. And in the state of Iowa, just like the state of everywhere else, masks are a big deal. So with your permission, as I would say if I were in court, unless somebody objects, I'm going to take off my mask for speaking. When in Iowa, unlike other places that aren't a court setting, the reason masks are such a big deal is we require people to be there. We subpoena them. They might be incarcerated and they have to come see us. It's not like an invitation or an RSVP. So this is a really big deal right now across the country in different venues. So I appreciate your listening to me for a few moments on the importance from the judicial branch. What do I talk about? Well, first of all, normally when I take a stage, it's like, all rise. I don't get a band like that band. That band was amazing. Yeah. And by the way, the piano player, where are you? I don't know where he is. I can't see with the lights on. That'd be the job that I'd be bucking for if I was still here. That would be such a fun thing to be a part of. I was thinking about what to talk about, and they asked me for my PowerPoint a long time ago, and they obviously haven't been rolling with me lately. I am not that. My senior law clerk is here with me today. She just laughed when I told her, hey, they want my PowerPoint. She's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And she was right. We rolled in at 1:30 in the morning, and I gave it to them about an hour before chapel started. So, but I've been thinking about it a long time since I was asked to do this, and I decided what I wanted to talk about was how Judson, for me, in my career and in my life, has been my unshakable foundation. And this first one might go weird. Let's see. Which button do I push? I'm better at my day job. There we go. Okay. Obviously, my name is Susie. I've missed a couple clicks here. I am from Harlan, Iowa, which is, I heard a hat. Who's from Harlan? Oh, Iowa. I thought nobody's from Harlan except my husband. All right. Nobody. Even people in my court don't quite know where it is. So anyway, I'm from Harlan, Iowa, and it's a town of about 5,000 people. Let's see if I'm doing this right. There we go. Oh, I went the wrong way. My kids would be laughing at me. Oh, I went the real wrong way. Hold on. Somebody up there say something. What am I supposed to push here? Hold on. Which one, if you guys don't mind, I want to talk here for a second. Which one of these buttons do I push? The right side, thank you. Okay, I'm going to push left on purpose because I don't know where I am right now. I might have to what? Oh, okay. I swear I'm better at like I said, my day job. There we go. Okay. The right button? Okay, I just pushed it. Oh, there's a pregnant pause between. That's the problem. Okay. So, as you can see, that my high school sweetheart, Jay on the left, we got married. We dated. We were actually in the same first grade class. Started dating at 15, got married at 19. That's the middle picture. And here we are 40 years later. We've been married 40 years this last June. We have 5 kids. Nick is our oldest. He was born in 82, and I was here. I graduated in 88, so you can do the math. And then Adam, next to him down below, is with Adam's wife, Erin. And so Nick and Adam were the 2 that I had. When I took psychology here, I had rat class. So I'll get to that in a moment. And my rat was named Scooby. They named him. And then after we left Judson and I was in law school, we had our son, Reese, and that's his wife, Kara. And then when I was a lawyer, we had our daughter, Sadie, and that's her with her husband, Derek. And then still while I was a lawyer, we had our son, Cass, who's our youngest. Isn't this going to be painful? There we go. Oops. I might have pushed it too many times. Almost 7 grandkids. Upper left is Logan, and then his little sister's Carson in the red, and then the little guy Connor in the bottom right with the yellow shirt, blue and yellow shirt, is their brother. And then Emily is up on top with a dog. By the way, Sadie, my daughter, says I gave her a dog name. I still love that name. How many people know a dog named Sadie? I'm sure everybody. Yeah, there go the hands. So she said, when I grow up, I'm naming my dog after you. So that beautiful Bernese mountain dog is named Judge. So that's Emily. It's her auntie's dog, but she loves that dog. And then her brother Jack is next to her. And then Levi on the far right has the mom, Sadie. And then up there in the upper right-hand corner is the soon-to-be baby brother of Emily and Jack. I was raised in Harlan, Iowa. That's my First Baptist Church, and that was the beginning of my foundation. I feel fortunate that I was raised in a Christian home and in a small town. My mom and dad loved us kids dearly and fiercely. So that was truly an important thing. And I understand and respect as a former juvenile judge that not everybody has that opportunity. But I truly believe that you can acquire an unshakable foundation. Some people, we get to have it when we first get started in life. It can be challenged at times, but it's always good. I went to First Baptist Church, and of course, like many good Baptist girls, every Sunday we went to church in the morning, Sunday school, church, and then again that night. And then Wednesday we'd have BYF, and every month we'd have a potluck dinner, which was amazing. And then starting in 7th grade, I played the piano a lot. That was my first gig in life, was playing piano at the First Baptist Church. People to this day will remember me as being, oh, you played piano. It's like, yeah, I did. I still do sometimes. So then I graduated from Harlan High School in 1980, the same day Mount St. Helens erupted, for any of you who know that. I thought it was an omen. That was kind of a big deal. All right, and then the next thing I did, I can tell by this clicker, it's not going to let me layer them. So underneath there is the logo for American Institute of Business. That's a secretarial college in Des Moines that I went to for a year because I just wanted to get married, have kids, and then Jay can work for the rest of our lives together. I had no ambition to actually get a career. But I learned Greg's shorthand there, which is to this day the most important skill I've ever learned, whether it be for a student, as a lawyer, sitting at the counsel table. Other people couldn't read my notes. I could read everything they were writing. To this day, when I hear it, when I'm on the bench with my colleagues and for oral arguments, I am taking 100% of my notes by Greg's shorthand. The top, for example, says the time frame we have set up should be for the benefit of the children. Estimate that the time would be a disservice to the kids, just for example. That's just the top part. And that, to me, makes perfect sense. It's a great way to write a Christmas list and secrets in the house, too. So after I went to AIB, then I worked for a while, and then I began to start going to college. And I spent my first year, doggone clicker, There we go. First year at University of South Dakota, because Jay was there, my husband. We're the same age, but he started college right away. So his 4th year was my first year of undergrad. And then the next year, he decided, I'm done with school. I got my degree. Let's move to California for a job. So I went to Cal State in Fresno for my 2nd year. And then he decided, I don't want to do this forever. I think I want to be an optometrist, but I need a few more courses back home. So then University of Iowa, we went back home. And he picked up his prerequisites for optometry school. I picked up my 3rd year. That's where Judson comes in. Judson is my unshakable foundation. I found some pictures online that just really warmed the cockles of my heart, and it's been a long time. I graduated 33 years ago, and I believe the last time I was here was in '93, which is about 28 years ago. I like this verse. I think it's appropriate for what I want to say today. Matthew 7:24. Everyone who hears my teaching and applies it to his life can be compared to a wise man who built his house on an unshakable foundation. I found some homework. Dr. Bob Laurent taught Old Testament, and I took that class, and I found this assignment, and I knew you couldn't read it, so I blew it up. In surveying the book of Job, which, by the way, I was deep into Job. When we lived here, Nicholas wasn't walking yet. He had just been diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And so that was heavy on my heart, and I felt like, hey, me and Job, we got something in common. and he asked us, you've learned 5 ways in which God uses hardships. Can you list 4 of them? And I said on my test, prepares us for future blessings, humbles us, disciplines us, and tests us. So then I needed to rewind there because I want you to know, before I got to Judson, what was going on in my life. Nick was born, that's me up there pregnant. Nothing was wrong with the pregnancy. Everything went fine. Then you can see Jay holding him as a newborn, no problems, no complications. And on the left, it's an adorable picture. Everything's groovy. He's like 1, just like every other kid. On the right side are his milestones. I kept track of all of his milestones like any new mama. And I'm really glad I did, and I encourage all of you guys to do that as you become parents in life. That was the one page that doctors kept going back to and kept going back to when they were trying to figure out, why is he not walking yet? Did he do this? Did he do that? Did he roll? Did he sit up? Well, I got it written down, and everyone referred to that, and I'm sure the times have changed, but this was in the early 80s. So his diagnosis was cerebral palsy, and that meant nothing to me. It meant nothing to Jay. There was no internet, no Google, and we were super young. We were like 22. And I remember the main thing I wanted to know, just tell me, is he going to die from this? I mean, you don't even, and no, by the way, no, it's not progressive. But of course, as life goes on, life gets a little tougher for all of us, physically and medically. So of course there have been some challenges with age, but it is not a degenerative disease. So then our new normal, this is my life when I was at Judson, and I'm not sure a lot of people knew that. But because we were so busy with both of us in school and kind of hunkered down, and I didn't do any of the social activities. So I might have been kind of a quiet student. But we had to go into Northwestern University in Chicago every week for speech therapy. And we went to Jane Shover Easter Seals in Elgin, I think 2 times a week with Nick. I'd love to know if that lady's still around. Then, as you can see, I put the footprints up on the left to show you walking. That's what it was all about. Nicholas didn't walk like everybody else. He couldn't walk. His balance is terrible. And so everything we did had to do with helping him ambulate. So you can see him on a big wheels. You can see him on the right side, a Little Tykes grocery cart. That was his favorite way of getting around. We weighted it down with potatoes. Otherwise, it was too light, and he'd tip it over. And then in the bottom right was his walker, which they got way more streamlined as he got older. But when he was younger, it was like an old person's walker for a little guy. And then on the far left, you can see Jay and I putting Nicholas on a Power Wheels. Those were brand new then. That was like a little wheelchair for him. And then in the middle, Jay is chasing him. And I remember it was my dad's house. That was the first time. Nick was 4 years old. It was the first time Jay ever chased him because he didn't know what he was doing. But that was a really weird feeling. So then the other kids came along. On the bottom left is their 3rd child circled. That's Reese. He was born when I was in law school. And then the bottom right is our only daughter, Sadie. She was born when I was a young lawyer. And you can see Nicholas on his special 3-wheeled bike. And I'll get to it in a bit. You see his dog there. He had a service dog, Sivian. And then in the upper with the circle is our son, Cass. He's the 5th and final. We kept, our lives were different than other parents' lives, but we tried to maintain as much normalcy as we could for Nick. He was involved in Special Olympics all the time. That picture in the upper left corner was on the cover of the Omaha World Herald. Not a big deal here. Big deal back home. That's a big paper. That was on the cover. And then him doing bowling from Special Olympics, and in the upper right, he had done some softball throws and things. This is CCI, Canine Companions for Independence, based out of, I think, Santa Rosa, California. We had to go to Columbus, Ohio for boot camp for 2 weeks. It took us 6 years to get the dog. I applied for it when I was in law school. I'd read about it in a Dear Abby article, and I thought it'd be really cool for Nick, and it was. If you're not comfortable being around a person who's handicapped, I bet you $1 million you're comfortable talking to somebody about their amazing dog who can turn light switches on and off, who can pick up a credit card from the ground and never cause a scratch, can pick up a raw egg and not break it. Better behaved than my kids. Anyway, Nick, and you can see Nicholas in the upper right. He took Sivian with him for homecoming in Harlan, and all the kids at school knew Sivian. Nicholas, as he's grown, has become as much a part of our community as possible, and I would like to think that's, of course, partly to do with Jay and I instilling within him, you are worthy. You have every opportunity everybody else does, just might need to be dispensed in a different way. So there were things that annoyed him. Those 2 pictures in the middle are smoothed out curbs. Maybe not a big deal, once again, for somebody who doesn't know any different. But Harlan had all really hard curbs. And you saw that 3-wheel bike. He got around everywhere in Harlan with that. But he couldn't bump those curbs. So he approached City Council, put it on their agenda, and said, I'd like you to straighten out the curves so I can get around. And so they couldn't do them all at once. So they had him mark with a highlighter on a map his path from home to school, and they did that first. Then on the left side, he couldn't get into the pool. He loved the slide, but then he would have to crawl once he got out of the pool. He'd crawl in the cement from the side of the pool back to the slide to do it again. And he, once again, went to City Council, put it on the agenda, and said, can I have a railing from the pool to the stairs that go up to the slide? And so they did it, and they put it in the paper. And then on the right side, they did the same thing now, just making it more handicapped accessible. He was a little bit older that second time. Every time he's done something like that, I think everybody's like, we should have done that anyway. So other people benefit, not just Nick. So Nicholas went on to graduate. I missed that. Oh, there. Here we go. Driving was a big, big deal. Just like when he got his little four-wheeler, he wanted so bad to be able to drive. We took him to a place down in Omaha at Emmanuel Lutheran Hospital that would assess him. It's kind of like a video game. And what it did was kept track of his reaction time. And they told us, Jay and I were waiting for the results, and they told us, with hand controls, he's 90% accurate. Driving like everyone else, it's 20. Duh. What do you think we're going to do? Hand controls. So to this day, he still drives with hand controls. But he had to take regular driver's ed to pass everything, and he also had to take his hand controls driver's ed. And when he got that license, that was the biggest deal in the world. It was a big deal when I was 16 in rural Iowa, getting your license. That's cool. It was a really big deal to Nick. His license plate said Civvy. That's his dog, and you can see his dog would ride with him. And then on the far right is now. Nicholas has a van that he went to all this work and had some opportunities that arose in the state of Iowa to help people like Nicholas who might want to have a vehicle. So he applied for that, and it took forever, lots of dirty work and details, but it finally happened. And what they would do is make the ramp and the door and everything. So he drives his scooter into there, and then he can transition to his chair, and then he drives. He didn't used to always need to be in a scooter. The older he's gotten, the more he's in his chair. He can transition, but it's tough. So Nick graduated from high school, and in the middle you see him walking with one crutch, and his coach is hanging on to him on the other. He's been an assistant basketball coach for probably 20 years. And then on the right, he graduated from community college in Council Bluffs, Iowa Western. It's similar to maybe the RISE program that I've been hearing about here. So today, here he is on the left with the big N for Nick. On the upper right-hand side, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's an eyeball in iron, wrought iron, and then it says Dr. J's Family Eye Care. That's my husband. And then below that, it says Nick's Optical. Nick also applied for a grant to get a machine that grinds lenses, and he grinds lenses at Jay's office. That's the two of them at work. If Nick could walk like everyone else, which he cannot, if Nick could talk like everyone else, which he has an extremely unique way of talking, I understand. I used to say 99%. I think it's now 95 because he just sometimes gets a little lazy. But if you're just meeting him for the first time, you would probably understand 80%, which I think is pretty darn good. Even if he could walk like you and me, if he could talk like you and me, I would never want to change how it's affected my life. It's made me a better lawyer, a better judge, a better wife, a better mom, a better school board member in the past. No matter what I've done, I'll see somebody with something in their life. My little motto is, whatever's obvious, don't ask. It breaks the heart of people trying to navigate. When I was here, it was probably the toughest time to deal with Nick's diagnosis. There will come a time in a relationship if somebody chooses to share that with you. But don't just have that be the thing you bring up. It's hard to talk about. Here I am, how many years later? It's still hard. So, time for review. Treat this like class. Like I said to you in my class, it said, in surveying the book of Job, we had 5 ways, name 4 for hardships. Prepares us for future blessings. I think I told you a lot about what happened after Judson and the hardships with Nicholas's cerebral palsy. How it humbles us, absolutely. How it disciplines us, no doubt. And how it tests us every day. So back to Judson. I found something else. I wrote a paper. My husband cannot believe you still have that stuff. Yeah, I did. King Solomon, it was also an Old Testament class. Solomon's story reminds me that, these are my words, unless it's in quote. Solomon's story reminds me that although God's love is long-suffering, sin is not tolerated. His holy wrath is kindled against those who purposefully, knowingly turn from him and ignore his correction. Becoming a Christian is not enough. I must remain a Christian by glorifying God, trusting him, fearing him, loving him, praising him, and the list goes on and on. My commitment to God has to be for a lifetime. I wrote this when I was 25. I'm now 59. This is still true because his gift in exchange, eternal life with him, is quite a swap. So you can't see the one underneath, but that's where we lived. Is it Volkmer or Volkman? Because I had a Professor Volkmer at law school, and I got thinking, am I mixing that up? It's Volkman. Okay, we lived in Volkman Hall. We were the only married couple there. Not only were we the only married couple, we were the only married couple, and we had kids. They gave us 2. We had like a double wide. Yeah, they were connected internally, but each one was beautiful in its own way, you'll see. And, oops. Hold on. I wanted that pond. That's Nick and Adam fishing with Jay. And I don't know what they caught, other than lots of goose poop on the four-wheeler, on the three-wheeler. Lots and lots and lots of goose poop. Does that still happen? Yeah. Green? Yeah. So, chapel, here we are. Notice that little late pass. I heard you guys have to badge in. I got the equivalent in the 80s. I got a little bit of slack because my babysitter was the wife of a professor. I cannot remember her name. If anybody knows it, shout it out. They lived at the foot of the hill. Her husband was a professor here, and she watched my kids. She went to chapel, so she ditched my kids on me. Can you imagine that? And so I had a tough time making it on time. I had to get my kids from class, so they gave me a permanent late pass. I'd come, but I was almost always late. And then in the upper left-hand corner is Jay and I in our living room of our double wide. Jay with Nick on the top, Adam on the bottom, and I wanted to know, in the upper right-hand corner, that's to symbolize robin eggs blue. That was the color of the appliances, and even then, that was hideous. It was not cool in '88. So, Professor Shea, has anybody, I imagine the newer people certainly haven't had a chance since he passed away a few years ago, but any of the alumni have Professor Shea? Oh, there we go. I had Professor Shea a lot. I was a psychology major, and I had to get my stuff done. I had to have a bunch. I needed certain classes in order to be able to go to law school in the fall. And so Judson was really good about cramming me in to as many as I could, which meant I had rat class with him. It was not called that. I signed up for it, and I probably could have taken something else. It was called conditioning and learning. And I learned after the drop date, oh, that's rat class. Nobody told me that, and I'm not that kind of girl. It was not easy. My boys, and I'll reveal it now, the statute of limitations has passed, but my little boys helped me train that rat because they didn't mind touching him. I did. And apparently Professor Shea, I said, can I wear gloves? Oh, no, the rat, he needs to bond with you. He'll bond with my kids. That's who he's going to bond with. It's the closest thing they ever had to a pet. 1988 is the year I graduated. I'm not kidding, and I don't feel bad for myself. I just had the kind of life that's very different than what students do who aren't married and don't have kids. I had one friend named Chris Willie. I have no idea where she is, if she still lives in Elgin. I don't even know if that's her last name anymore. But she was not married. She did not have kids. I have no idea why she found time in her day to hang with me. And she was my only girlfriend. And you know, because we were super busy. Jay's taking the train to town every day. I got 2 kids. But Chris and I hung out together, and they took some pictures of us for some Judson magazine. And then that's us together graduating. In the bottom left is our graduating class. And then on the bottom right, of course, is getting my diploma. You can see Dr. Weber in the background. I cannot remember who handed me my diploma. Somebody's yelling it. No. Oh, Harper? Okay. Thank you for reminding me. That same day, my family was here. The upper left-hand corner, I only had 2 kids. One of them is my nephew. The one on the far right is my nephew. It's my sister's boy. He was here too. The far right is my dad on the left. He's in a robe because he was the guest speaker for graduation ceremony. He was on the court at that time, same court I'm on now. And then my mom in the white dress, and then Jay on the right, and I'm holding Adam, and my dad is. It looks like Nick is standing, but every picture you'll ever see of Nick, it is completely supporting him. He can't do that by himself, but it's cool how it looks like it. And then in the middle is my dad and I standing together. And my dad just passed away 3 years ago. So when you look at my schedule, 4 colleges in 4 years, not even including AIB where I learned shorthand, that's incredibly dumb, isn't it though? And I used to tell people, don't do that, don't do that. And then I had a young girl in an audience say, she raised her hand, and it's since I've been chief, and she said, why do you say that? Why do you say not recommended? Because look where you are right now. And I thought, you know what? You're right. So I changed it. Instead of saying not recommended, I say do what's right for you. No one else is walking in your shoes. Every decision I made, every school I changed, every choice I made was because of my family. And that has to be the right decision, even though on the outside it might look really crazy. I went to this law school all 3 years, same school, so wasn't bumping around there. So then on moving day, is Professor Meerman here? Where? Raise your hand. Back there? Hello. Thank you for helping us move. I had to just say, and daughter. Who is that? You can't see it? Yeah, one of your girls. She's got wild hair. But anyway, you and your daughter came, and those were pictures of us literally on campus the day we moved. And it was a really sad day, even though we were going towards home. This school gave Jay and I, like I said, that unshakable foundation, and we felt completely empowered while we were here, making good decisions and living the kind of life that we knew was the right life. And we were nervous for another big change in our life, but Professor Meerman came and helped us move. Thank you. So long overdue, thank you. So beyond Judson, what happened? I went to Creighton Law School, and you can see Reese, there he is on my lap. He was born my 3rd year, that's graduation day. Then I got sworn into the bar. My dad, being on the court, could swear me in. I now swear people in, but that day my dad swore me in the parking lot of a restaurant, because the next day all 200 brand new lawyers were going to get mass sworn in by my dad. And the night before, Dad said, you want to be the first lawyer in the state of Iowa? You betcha. You betcha. And that's Nick, pretend like he's getting sworn in too. So what is my life as a lawyer? I had a family law practice. I was also an assistant county attorney, which means prosecution. I did all of that for 16 years. But I always wanted to be a judge. It's hard to see it, but on that folder in shorthand it says, my dream. Career-wise, I wanted to be a judge. You got to work a long time to get to be a judge. You have to be a lawyer. You have to, learn the system. You have to gain the confidence and respect. You have to be honest, to have integrity. It takes a long time to build those things. You can tear it all down really fast, but it takes a long time to build. Oops. So in 2007, I did become a district associate judge. That's where the cookie judge came from. That's my dad. He swore me in again. When I was a juvenile judge, the reason I did that cookie thing wasn't just plain, hey, you want some cookies? It's because I had a big screw up. These kids come to court with parents, for example, that are on methamphetamine or maybe have significant mental health issues, or there's physical abuse, sex abuse, all kinds of things going on in these little cherubs' lives, and they have got a tough, tough, tough life. Can you imagine knowing you got to go to court the next day, and you know you're living in foster care right now, for example, and you know you might get to see your mom? Is she going to be mad at you because maybe you've been nice to dad and mom doesn't like it? You know, there's all kinds of things going on in these little kids' heads. So anyway, one day when I have access to 100% of the file. I've read all the reports that are extremely difficult to read. I know everybody's birth date, social security numbers, I know everything. So why did I pick a hearing date that was this kid's birthday? So he was missing school to go to court on his birthday. And I'm a mom. I'm like, wow, Susie, way to go. I felt terrible because I'm the one that controls the schedule. I'm the one that picks a hearing date. I'm the one that can see that's his birthday. And he never said anything, and neither did anybody else. They probably figured it won't matter. It would have, but nobody said anything. So I felt really bad, and I said, I am so sorry, buddy. I promise you. And that was the beginning of my career. Never once did I ever set another hearing on a kid's birthday, or even within a few days. So I said, what can I do? I said, I love to bake. My kids love cookies. Can I make you some cookies? And that's how it started. And then the lawyers started, and what I would do then is not for their birthdays, but their birthday month. Hey, if I'm setting a hearing your birthday month, I'll make you cookies. Well, pretty soon the lawyers picked up on that, and because I would bring extras for their offices, and so they'd jab their clients, hey, tell the judge you want a hearing in January because that's your birthday month. And I let them always pick. I never, ever told them no. One time a kid picked gingerbread cookies, and they wanted them dressed in like red shorts, yellow hats. I'm like, oh, jeepers. You know, that's not like a drop cookie. But then in my mind, I was thinking, Sadie will be home from college. She loves doing that stuff. Okay, we'll do it. Sadie and I did it. There I am in front of the Iowa Supreme Court nominating commission. It's as intimidating as it looks. And that's the back of my head. That picture was in the Des Moines Register the next day. It was before I knew I was getting out of commission. And then a few days later, I would go see the governor with 2 other candidates. And then this is on my court on the bottom right. There's 7 members of the Iowa Supreme Court. Myself, one other woman, Dana, in the back left, and then 5 men. They are all my friends and colleagues, and we do not all think alike, but we that doesn't matter. We have a job to do, and 7 heads are definitely much better than 1. On the bottom left is my first hearing as an appellate judge in Iowa City, and the upper left is on a panel in a small town. We take court on the road. So what is the role of our judicial system? We decide what really happened and what should be done. We decide when a person committed a crime and what should their punishment be. We provide a peaceful way to resolve disputes that people can't do themselves. And we must administer justice and equity to all people. Look at these things. These are the things of the all people. This is my category. These are the peeps that I work with every single day. Juvenile delinquency, domestic abuse, assault, stalking, mental health instability, breach of contract, burglary, workers' comp, sex abuse, murder, child abuse and neglect, drugs, alcoholism, property disputes, arson, discrimination in the workplace, professional license revocation, divorce, drunk driving, theft. Those are just the ones I thought of in about 30 seconds. I know I've left some out. That's when I am supposed to be giving justice and fairness and equity to all. This is who my audience is. And my unshakable foundation, a lot of the people I'm dealing with are actually on sinking sand. And so I was thinking, I know E Pluribus Unum is the theme for today, and I thought, you know what? I am one person from Judson, one. And if my unshakable foundation, in whatever way it can touch upon some of these cases, some of these situations, and help some of those lives, then that's a bit of Judson too. There's a lot of people who fit into those categories, and sadly, many of them fit into many of those categories all at once. So my unshakable faith in God gives me the courage, strength, and wisdom to march forward in my endeavor to administer justice and equity to all, especially those in sinking sand. That's it.
Thank you. As you're standing, so I can dismiss you, one more round of applause for Chief Justice Christensen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. Like we mentioned before you head out, everybody pause, stop, don't swipe anybody out. I asked you to stand and pause before I dismiss you. We have a lot of alumni back from all across the country. We have folks that are in town. I'm hoping from Canada, looking over in this direction. Is that correct? Hey. We have Iowa. We have Indiana. I know we have at least 4 of you from Indiana that are here. A lot of our alumni friends are going to be having lunch in the dining hall. So come over, join them, say hi, introduce yourself, let them know what your background is, and chat with them because we are all one family. Let me pray us out. Have a wonderful homecoming. Heavenly Father, thank you for this great community that we call Judson University, but you call it your kingdom. So let us honor you and serve you and have a healthy, safe, happy homecoming weekend and love on each other like your son showed us. Your name we pray. Amen. You are dismissed. Have a good homecoming.